His cold gaze locked on me. Like a hawk on its prey. Who did this to you? His voice was soft. But it landed heavier than thunder. My name is Alia. I'm his maid. I work in his penthouse. I was used to being invisible. Used to being like air. In his luxurious world. Drifting quietly. But that night, I returned to work. With my face full of injuries. I tried to cover it. With thick foundation. To hide the purple-black bruises. I lied and said I fell. But he didn't believe me. Victor Landor. The true master of this city. He sees everything. He approached, step by step. Unraveling my lie. When he saw the clear handprints on my arm, the calm in his eyes vanished. Replaced by a devastating storm. He didn't yell. He just gave a quiet order. That night, he made me understand. In his territory, harming his people, even just a cleaner, comes with a price. A city-wide revenge began just like that. Have you ever felt as small as dust? Have you ever wished someone would stand up for you? If you've also experienced despair, please share in the comments your story. Like and subscribe. And see how an invisible person can start a tidal wave. I had been a ghost for 8 months. Working in Victor Landor's penthouse, that was the truth. You had to learn to move through rooms like the wind present, but leaving no trace. My hands were responsible for polishing the expensive trinkets that shone under luxurious chandeliers. The towels I folded were softer than anything I'd ever slept on. The flowers I arranged cost more for a week than my food budget. This apartment occupied 3 full floors high in the Manhattan sky. All marble and dark wood. Outside the massive floor-to-ceiling windows was a city where I could barely find my footing. Victor Landor himself was more like a shadow I had learned to avoid. I could recognize the sound of his footsteps coming down the stairs steady, unhurried. That's when I was supposed to be somewhere else. I only caught glimpses of him through doorways. His impeccably combed dark hair, his expensive suits tailored as if they were grown on him, and those amber eyes. Those eyes, which never truly landed on me. He always received guests in his study. Men who spoke in low voices and left through the side door. I was responsible for cleaning up the remnants they left behind. Ashtrays full of the smell of Cuban cigars, and half-drunk glasses of strong liquor. I never asked questions. That wasn't my job. My job was to disappear completely. The only variable in this carefully orchestrated order was my sister, Shasha. She was 23 and helped in the kitchen. She had inherited Mom's bright laugh, but none of my caution. Her breakfast smelled like home, her dinners were as exquisite as art. Every night when we got off work, we'd squeeze onto the subway together, back to our cramped apartment in the Bronx. 2 bedrooms, paper-thin walls. Neighbors who would start screaming matches at 3 a.m. But it was our space. Well, rented, barely hanging on. I took every overtime shift I could get. I needed every dollar. Because that $300,000 medical debt wouldn't just disappear. Because my mom had died 2 years ago. Cancer devoured her body and, at the same time, consumed all our savings. After her funeral, the bills still rained down. I signed repayment plans for debts I'd probably be paying off into my 30s. I accepted criminally high interest rates. I learned to survive on cheap coffee and even cheaper hope. So I cleaned, I folded, I polished. I accepted all overtime without complaint. On Thursday night, the grandfather clock in the hall chimed 10. I had just finished wiping down the main staircase railing. My shoulders were screaming from scrubbing the grout in the third-floor bathroom. My back protested loudly as I bent to pick up my cleaning caddy. October in New York, it got dark early. I watched the rain begin to lash against the tall glass windows. "You heading out?" Shasha popped out of the kitchen, putting on her coat. She still smelled like the rosemary and garlic from Mr. Landor's dinner prep. "Yeah. Long day." She stared at my face with that scrutinizing gaze only a sister has. "You look like you're about to collapse." "I'm fine." "That's all you ever say." We walked toward the staff exit, and she looped her arm through mine. "This weekend, movie night. If I don't get overtime, I'm making popcorn." Alia, her voice was a gentle reprimand, "You can't keep burning the candle at both ends forever." But I had to. I had no choice. A payment was due in 2 weeks. I was still 3,000 short. Outside, the drizzle had escalated into a downpour. We huddled under the small awning of the service door. Shasha pulled out her phone to check the subway status. "Trains are on time. Ready to make a run for it." 3 blocks. That's all it was. From Landor's apartment building to the subway station. We'd walked it hundreds of times. Sometimes together, sometimes on different shifts. This area was supposed to be safe. After all, it was Landor's territory. I'd heard the rumors, knew what that meant. Protection, order, and rules enforced by men in dark suits. Tonight, Shasha got a text from her boyfriend just before we left. Something about his roommate having an emergency. She cursed under her breath, then apologized profusely to me. "Just go," I told her. "I'll be fine." "You sure?" "It's 3 blocks." She kissed my cheek and ran toward her beat-up Honda. I watched her tail lights disappear around the corner. Then, I pulled up my hood and started walking into the rain. The street was quieter than usual. Most of the shops were closed. Only security lights cast a mix of amber and shadow. My sneakers splashed through puddles, and my socks were soaked within half a block. I kept my head down, focusing on the familiar route. The shops I passed were like beads on a rosary I counted silently. The Italian restaurant, the dry cleaner, and the pharmacy with its flickering neon sign. 2 blocks down. 1 to go. The alley appeared on my left. Narrow, dark, wedged between 2 buildings. I'd passed it 1,000 times without a thought. But tonight, 2 figures stepped out of the shadows. They blocked my path on the sidewalk. I stopped. My heart suddenly hammered against my ribs. "Good evening," one of them said. White, in his 30s, shaved head. His jacket seemed too thin for this weather. His companion was taller, broader, and silent. "Evening," I managed, trying to step around them. The bald man moved, blocking me again. "In such a hurry. Where you going?" "Home." My voice was steadier than I felt. "Please, let me pass." "Don't be in such a rush," he smiled, but the smile had no warmth. "Just being neighborly, having a chat." The tall one moved behind me, cutting off my retreat. My stomach plummeted. "I don't want any trouble," I said. "No trouble," the bald one held up his hands, palms out. "Just need your bag. And the phone in your pocket. Make it easy." My mind raced. Scream? Who would hear over the rain? Run? Where? Fight 2 men twice my size. Shaking, I pulled the crossbody bag over my head and handed it to him. He took it, rifled through it quickly, and pocketed my wallet. Then he looked at me, expectant. "Phone." I reached into my pocket, fingers numb. I handed over my phone. My alarm clock, my only lifeline. "Good girl." He examined the phone. Then, his gaze fell on my shirt. My jacket was open. The grey polo shirt. The discreet logo of the apartment building embroidered on the chest. Wait a minute. He moved closer, rain hitting his face. You work in that building. He pointed to the massive structure on the corner. Ice-cold fear shot through my veins. No, I don't. Don't lie. He grabbed my collar, yanking me forward. I've seen that logo. You work for that Italian, don't you? I don't know what you're talking about. He looked back at his partner. She works for Landor. The tall man's expression changed. A flicker of something mean. I'm just a cleaner. I cried out, desperate. I don't know anything. I just clean. Please. Just a cleaner. The bald man laughed, a nasty sound. All right, just a cleaner. You can deliver a message for us. The first punch came without warning. Straight to my cheekbone. Pain exploded in white light behind my eyes. I staggered back. Before I could regain my balance, hands grabbed my arms. Fingers dug deep into my flesh. I tried to scream, but a hand clamped hard over my mouth. This is what happens, the bald man's voice was in my ear, when someone thinks they own this street. When they think their Italian boss can tell us what to do. The second blow hit my ribs. Then a third, a fourth. I lost count. I stopped fighting. I just curled up, praying for it to end. Someone grabbed my hair. Yanked my head back hard. I saw the bald man's fist coming at my face again. And then, everything went black. I don't know how long I was out. Seconds. Maybe minutes. When I came to, I was lying on the wet sidewalk. Rain pounded on my back. Every breath felt like a knife in my ribs. My left eye was swollen shut. My mouth tasted like iron. They were gone. My bag, my phone, and my attackers. All vanished into the October night. I pushed myself into a sitting position. The agony in my ribs made me gasp. My hands were scraped raw. The knees of my jeans were torn. Through my one good eye, I saw the subway station ahead. Its lights shimmered in the rain. Get up. Go home. The memory of getting to the subway is blurry. Just fragments. A woman asking worriedly if I needed help. I shook my head. The vibration of the train. Climbing the stairs to my apartment. It felt like scaling a mountain. The bathroom mirror reflected the wreckage of my body. My left eye was completely swollen. Purple bloomed around the socket. My bottom lip was split, still oozing. I lifted my shirt. Angry, purplish bruises were already forming over my ribs. On my arms, clear handprints. I turned on the shower. Hot water gushed out. I sat on the bathroom floor, fully clothed. Letting the steam fill the space. Only then did I let myself cry. Quietly, stifling the sobs. Afraid to wake Shasha. But she woke up anyway. Her bedroom door opened. Footsteps approached. She appeared in the bathroom doorway. Her face went sheet white. Alia. Oh my God, Alia. I'm fine. You're bleeding. We have to go to the hospital. No. I shouted. Alia, I can't afford it. My voice broke. I can't afford the emergency room. Shasha. I can't go. She knelt beside me. Her hands hovered, afraid to touch me. Afraid to cause more pain. What happened? Mugged. 2 men. They took everything. Did you call the police? No phone, remember? I tried to laugh, but my split lip made me wince. It's fine. I'll go to the station tomorrow. Shasha's expression said she didn't believe a word. But she didn't argue. She helped me out of my soaked clothes. Helped me shower. Used the first aid kit to clean my cuts. When I finally climbed into bed, she sat with me in the dark. I shouldn't have left you alone, she whispered. It's not your fault. But as I lay there, every part of my body screaming, I couldn't stop thinking. The moment the bald man saw my uniform, the recognition in his eyes, and the deliberate, calculated violence that followed. It wasn't random. And that made it all so much worse. I slept shallowly. The pain with every breath, waking me in waves. When the alarm went off at 6 a.m., I stared at the ceiling, contemplating the possibility of not going to work. But I needed the job. I needed every cent. The medical bills didn't care if I'd been beaten half to death in an alley. 300,000. The number hung over me like a shadow. I sat up, gritting my teeth. My ribs groaned. The girl in the mirror was a monster. My left eye was a palette of purple and black, swollen to a slit. The cut on my lip had scabbed over. Violent flowers bloomed on my jaw and cheek. Makeup was a disguise. I caked on the concealer, but it couldn't hide the swelling. The eye was a lost cause. I just did my best to look vaguely human. I put on a high-necked, long-sleeved shirt. Even though it wasn't cold, I needed to cover my arms. One last look. I looked like a bad imitation of myself. Shasha was already in the kitchen. Her face fell the moment she saw me. Don't, I stopped her before she could speak. I'm going to work. Alia. You can barely walk. I can walk. It was a lie. Every step sent a jolt through my left side. I need the money. One day. It will. It will matter. I poured coffee. Carefully. Payments due in 2 weeks. I'm still 3,000 short. She opened her mouth, then closed it. We both knew the math. We both lived the budget. At least let me drive you, she said finally. I accepted. The subway stairs seemed impossible today. The apartment building was the same. Grand, beautiful. Indifferent to my pain. Shasha dropped me at the staff entrance. Her eyes said, "We'd talk tonight." She drove off to the garage. She was due in the kitchen to prep Mr. Landor's breakfast. I made it through the morning on willpower. Dusting the study. Vacuuming the second-floor hall. Changing the linens in the guest rooms. Each task required focus. To avoid pulling at my injuries, I moved slowly, avoiding all reflective surfaces. Around noon, Shasha found me. You look terrible, she said flatly. Thanks. I'm serious. Your face is twice its normal size. It's fine. She moved closer. Did you go to the police? After work? Another lie. How could I tell them? I was mugged. And the attackers mentioned my boss. It was too dangerous. Alia. I have to go to the 3rd floor. I picked up my caddy, using it as a shield. Mr. Landor has guests this afternoon. Everything has to be perfect. Shasha looked like she wanted to say more, but she let me go. I climbed the stairs slowly, grateful the upstairs was empty. No one would see me struggle. Mr. Landor's study. It was the last task. He was usually in the city for meetings in the afternoon. His private space would be empty. I knocked twice, out of habit. No response. I swiped my key card and went in. The room smelled of leather and old books. And the whiskey he drank. And the cigars he smoked on his terrace. His desk dominated the room. Dark wood, polished to a mirror. Files stacked neatly. I knew his rules. Never move the files. Dust around them. Never touch the computer. The crystal decanters were to be hand-washed and returned to their exact spots. I was dusting the windowsill, my back to the door, when I heard it. Footsteps. My heart leaped. Another staff member. The housekeeper. Marcus. But when I turned, Victor Landor was standing in the doorway. He'd taken off his suit jacket. His shirt sleeves were rolled to his elbows. His dark hair was slightly messy, as if he'd just run his hands through it. And his eyes, those amber eyes I had only ever seen from a distance, were fixed squarely on me. He was looking at me, not through me. "I'm sorry, Mr. Landor." My voice was steady. "I thought you were out this afternoon. I can come back later." Your face. What happened? The question hit like a blow. Direct. Unavoidable. I fell. The lie I'd practiced. The subway stairs. It was raining, they were slippery. He didn't respond. Didn't move. Just stood there, watching me with an intensity that made my skin crawl. Then he walked into the room. He closed the door behind him. The soft click seemed far too intimate for the moment. "Look at me." It wasn't a request. And not quite a command. Something in between. I obeyed, instinctively. I lifted my face. Let him see the full extent of the damage. The makeup couldn't hide. His expression didn't change. Still that neutral calm I was used to. But his jaw was tight. He crossed the distance between us in 3 steps. Suddenly, he was too close. Close enough for me to smell the cedar on his clothes. And something else expensive. "Tell me again. How you fell." "The stairs were wet. I slipped." "Which side did you fall on?" The question confused me. What? Left or right? Which side hit the stairs? My mind scrambled. The left? I think. You think? He walked around me slowly, like he was examining prey. I fought the urge to step back. "But you're favoring your left side when you breathe. So you fell on your left. Hit your left eye. Split your lip. And now your left ribs hurt." My face flushed. "Yes. That's quite a consistent fall." He stopped in front of me again. "Roll up your sleeve, Mr. Landor. Roll it up." My hands were shaking. He was my employer. I couldn't refuse. I rolled up my right sleeve first. It was less damaged. Just scrapes. He looked. The other one. I hesitated. The left arm told a different story. But Victor just waited. With that infinite patience. Lie. I rolled up the left sleeve. The bruises were stark. Clear. Finger-shaped marks gripped my bicep. Purple. Yellow. Angry red. Unmistakable. Victor stared at them for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice had become cold and lethal. Who did this to you? I told you. Don't. The word was a whip. Alia. Don't lie to me again. This wasn't a fall. Someone held you. Controlled you. Where did it happen? He used my name. It shocked me into silence. I didn't know he knew it. 8 months of being invisible. He knew my name all along. 3 blocks from here. The truth tumbled out. Thursday night. Going to the subway. What did they take? My bag. Phone. Wallet. And then? I couldn't answer. I couldn't find the words. For the violence that came after. And then, he repeated. Softer. But more insistent. They saw. My uniform. My voice broke. They asked. If I worked for you. I said no. But they didn't believe me. They said. I stopped. Choked. They said. It was a message. The silence that followed was filled with danger. Victor's jaw tightened inch by inch. It was his only reaction. Then he walked to his desk. Pushed a button on his phone. Marcus. My office. Now? Mr. Landor, please. I started. Sit down. I don't want to cause trouble. Sit. Not angry. Absolute. The kind of tone that demanded obedience. I Saturday. In one of the leather chairs. Facing his desk. Feeling small. And exposed. Victor remained standing. One hand braced on his desk. Staring into nothing. Marcus arrived within minutes. A man in his 40s. Salt and pepper hair. Sharp eyes. He took one look at my face. And froze. 3 blocks from here, Victor got straight to it. Thursday night. 2 men. They saw her uniform. Decided to send a message. Marcus's expression turned to stone. Exact location. Between the dry cleaner and the pharmacy, I added softly. Around 10:15. We have cameras. In that area. I'll pull the footage. He looked at me again. With a flicker of something like pity. Can you describe them? I described them. White. Bald head. Thin jacket. The tall partner. Built. Silent. The details. I had replayed all night. Jack, Marcus paused. Sounds like the butcher's man, Jack. Works for the Albanians. Victor's hand curled into a fist on the desk. Find him. Find them both. Before midnight. I want them here. Understood. Marcus left, quickly. The room was silent again. Just the 2 of us. The quiet was unbearable. Until I couldn't take it. This isn't necessary, I said. I'm fine. It was just a robbery. It wasn't a robbery. Victor finally looked at me. The look in his eyes made my breath catch. Not pity. Not even just anger. It was an insult. A challenge. They attacked you. Because you work for me. On my territory. On my streets. That makes it personal. I'm just a maid. You work in my house. He rounded the desk. And sat in the chair next to me. Not behind the desk. As an equal. Up close. You've been here 8 months. I notice, Alia. You organize the bookshelves. By author. You never gossip with the other staff. You take every overtime shift. My throat tightened. I need the money. I know. Your mother's medical bills. He knew. He knew everything. About all his staff. Probably. So. Do you understand, he continued, his voice low. Why I can't let this go? If I allow my people to be harmed and do nothing, it's a sign of weakness. And in my world, weakness is a death sentence. He spoke of death so casually. It should have terrified me. But I felt something else entirely. A warm, dangerous feeling. What will you do to them? I asked. What's necessary? He stood and offered me his hand. Come on. You're done for the day. Rest in the guest room until this is handled. I took his hand. His palm was calloused and warm. He pulled me to my feet effortlessly. For a moment, we stood too close. His hand still holding mine. The air crackled with something I didn't understand. Then he let go. This way. I followed him down the long hall. I had cleaned 1,000 times. But now everything was different. I was no longer invisible. Victor Landor. He saw me. He knew my name. And that changed everything. The guest room Victor led me to was larger than my entire Bronx apartment. It overlooked the gardens. The furniture looked like it belonged in a museum. I stood in the doorway, feeling out of place. Sit. He pointed to a chair by the window. Marcus needs time. Until then, you rest. I should finish my work. That wasn't a suggestion. His tone brooked no argument. You're injured. You rest. He left without waiting for me to protest. The door clicked shut. I sank into the chair. My ribs screamed. Shasha arrived 20 minutes later with tea and sandwiches. She set the tray down and sat on the arm of my chair. What the hell is going on? She hissed. Victor Landor escorts you upstairs himself. Marcus is running around like his hair's on fire. And you are sitting in the best guest room. Like a guest. He knows I was attacked. How? He saw my face. He kept asking. I couldn't lie. I picked up the teacup just to have something to do with my hands. Shasha. They recognized my uniform. The men who attacked me. They knew I worked here. Her face went pale. So. That's why he's taking it so seriously. Yeah. I sipped the tea. It was too hot. It burned my split lip. He said. It was an insult to him. That he can't let it go unpunished. Shasha was quiet, processing. I've worked here for 2 years. I've never seen him like this. Like what? Focused. Angry. But cold. The kind of anger that's more dangerous than yelling. She studied me with those sister eyes that knew everything. He used your name, Alia. He calls me chef. He calls others staff. He knows our names. But he doesn't use them. Keeps his distance. But he used yours. Before I could respond, there was a knock. Marcus came in, holding a laptop. His expression was grim. We have the footage, he said. Mr. Landor wants you to confirm. I followed him downstairs. Back to the study. Shasha trailed behind us. Like a shadow. Victor was behind his desk. Sleeves still rolled. Looking every bit the dangerous man I'd always suspected he was. Marcus opened the laptop and turned the screen to me. Black and white. Grainy footage. I recognized the street corner. The timestamp read Thursday, 10:14 p.m. I saw myself walk into the frame. Head down. Then, the two figures emerge from the alley. My stomach clenched. Even in the poor quality, I recognized them. That's them, I whispered. Marcus paused the frame. Zoomed in on the bald man's face. You're sure? Yes. That's the one who grabbed me. Asked about my uniform. Victor leaned over. Studying the face. With predatory focus. Jack. The butcher's little errand boy. Collections, intimidation. He looked at Marcus. The other one. Vito. Croatian. Hired muscle. Marcus pulled photos from a drawer. Spread them on the desk. Jack's been on our radar. 4 months. He's the butcher's man. Trying to push into downtown. The butcher. Victor said the name. Like a curse. So. This wasn't random. It was a territory dispute. They are testing, Marcus confirmed. Move on your people. See if you'll hit back. I listened to them. Discuss violence and territory. Like a chess game. The detachment should have scared me. But I felt a strange disconnect. Like I was watching a play. What are you going to do? I regretted the words. As soon as they were out. Both men looked at me. Victor's expression softened, just a fraction. Find them. Bring them here. And make them understand the consequences of touching what I protect. You don't have to. For me. My voice was small. I'm nobody. Just. Victor came around the desk. Slowly. And stopped in front of me. So close I had to look up at him. You work in my house. He said, his voice low and powerful. I notice how you organize the newspapers. Headlines up. How you water the orchids. On Tuesdays. You never complain. You just quietly do your job. My face flushed. You notice that? In my world. I notice everything, Alia. You are part of that. He looked at Marcus. Get a team. 6 men. Bring Jack and the Croatian. To me. Understood. Marcus closed the laptop. And her? She stays here tonight. 2nd floor guest room. Her sister, too. Wait, I started. Victor held up a hand. Not negotiable. They know you work here. They know your face. You are not going home alone. Until I've handled this. I can't just stay here. I have a life. Your life will be there tomorrow. His tone was final. Tonight. You are under my protection. The word protection hung in the air. Heavy with meaning. Exhaustion and pain were washing over me. I could barely stand. Okay, I said. One night. A flicker of satisfaction crossed Victor's face. Marcus. Make the arrangements. I want updates every hour. Marcus left. I was alone with Victor again. He watched me. with that unsettling intensity. "Why do you work so hard?" he asked suddenly. "The extra shifts. The double hours. You do it all." I hesitated. To lie. But he probably knew anyway. "Medical debt. My mother. 2 years ago." "How much?" "That's none of your business." "How much?" "Alia." He used my name again. 300,000. He nodded. Processing the information. "To pay that? On a maid's salary?" "I don't have a choice." "There's always a choice. You could have filed for bankruptcy." "I'm not that person." "No." He looked back at me. "You're not. You honor your obligations. Even when they are destroying you." "That's rare." Shasha appeared in the doorway. Interrupting us. She looked uneasy. "Sorry." The housekeeper said. "I'm in the room next to Alia." "Yes." Victor straightened. "You both stay. Tomorrow. We'll see." Shasha looked at me, a question in her eyes. I gave a small nod. She disappeared down the hall. "I should go. Let you work. One more thing." Victor went to his desk. Wrote down a string of numbers. Handed it to me. "His personal number. Anything you need. You call me. Immediately. I'll be fine. This place is a fortress. Still." He pressed the paper into my hand. "Take it." His fingers lingered on mine. For half a second. Warm. Solid. "Thank you." "Don't thank me. Tonight isn't over." I left him. Standing in his study. Surrounded by the evidence of the violence he was orchestrating. I climbed the stairs. Shasha was waiting. She saw my face. And gave me a careful hug. "This is insane," she whispered. "I know. He's going after them. For you." "I know. Alia. He's." "I know, Shasha. I know what he is." I pulled back. Met her worried gaze. "And? I can't feel sorry for them." The admission hung between us. Neither of us wanted to examine it. Shasha helped me into pajamas. Silk. Expensive pajamas. She hissed. When she saw the bruises on my ribs and back. She said nothing. Just helped me dress. Like I was made of glass. We sat on the huge bed. I told her everything. The attack. Victor's reaction. The surveillance. She listened quietly. Taking it all in. With her usual pragmatic calm. "So what now?" she asked finally. I thought of Victor. His cold anger. Marcus. His efficient violence. And the controlled power that ran through this house. I thought of how terrified I should be. But what I felt was closer to relief. "Now," I said. "We wait." Outside. The night was deep. Somewhere in this city. Men with guns were hunting the men who had hurt me. And I was lying in silk pajamas. Protected by a man who commanded armies in a whisper. The world had tilted off its axis. In one afternoon. I suspected it would never be straight again. I couldn't sleep. I lay in the strange bed, staring at the shadows on the ceiling, listening to Shasha's steady breathing next to me. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the surveillance footage. Me, cornered. Beaten. Left in the rain. My ribs throbbed with every breath. Around 2 a.m. I heard them. Downstairs. Low, urgent voices. Then, the sound of a heavy door. Closing. Not slamming. Controlled. I should have stayed in bed. Pulled the covers over my head. Pretended I heard nothing. But I found myself barefoot on the carpet. Carefully opening my door. The hallway was lit only by floor lights. Amber-colored. The voices were coming from Victor's study. My heart pounded. I crept down the stairs. I knew which floorboards to avoid. I pressed myself against the wall. Moving closer. The study door was ajar. Just enough for me to see a sliver of the room inside. What I saw made my blood run cold. 2 men knelt in the center of the room, hands bound behind their backs. I recognized them immediately, despite the blood on their faces. The bald man and his tall companion. My attackers. Marcus stood to the side. Arms crossed. Face hard. 2 other men I didn't know, dressed in black, guarded the door. Guns on their hips. Victor sat in his leather chair, unmoving, watching the kneeling men with predatory focus. I didn't know, Mr. Landor. The bald one. Jack. He was talking fast. I swear. We didn't know. She was your people. The butcher just said to send a message. Make some noise. On your territory. We just meant to rough someone up. Nothing big. Nothing big. Victor's voice was quiet. Dangerously quiet. You put your hands on someone I protect. And you call it nothing big. It was just a warning. To show we could get on your streets whenever we wanted. Jack's eyes darted between Victor and Marcus, looking for mercy. He wouldn't find. We didn't mean to really hurt her. Just scare her. Scare her. Victor stood up slowly. He walked to Jack. Looked down at him. Tell me. When you saw her uniform. When you realized she worked in my house. What did you think was going to happen? We thought. Jack stammered. The butcher said you'd back down. Said you'd gone soft. Said the business in Brooklyn had you distracted. The butcher was wrong. Victor crouched, meeting Jack's eyes. Do you know what she does here? She cleans. She folds towels. She arranges flowers. She's 27. Works 2 jobs. Just to pay off her dead mother's medical bills. And you beat her unconscious in the rain. For politics. The silence that followed was absolute. Suffocating. Then Victor asked the question that made me hold my breath. Who did it to her? His voice was barely a whisper, but it held more threat than any scream. Each word, a stone, dropped into still water. It was me. Jack's voice broke. It was me. Vito held her. But I hit her. I'm sorry. Mr. Landor. I'm really sorry. You're sorry. Victor didn't move. You're sorry. Because you got caught. Because you're kneeling here. Instead of in whatever hole you crawled out of. You're sorry. Because you know what happens next. He stood, turned his back on the kneeling men, walked back to his desk. The casual dismissal was more terrifying than any rage. Marcus. Victor's tone shifted to pure business. Take them. Handle it cleanly. I want the butcher to get the message. But I don't want bodies in the harbor for the police to find. Understood. Understood. Marcus motioned for the other men to move in. They hauled Jack and Vito to their feet. Wait. Jack struggled. Please. Mr. Landor. I have a family. So does she. Victor didn't turn around. Her mother died of cancer. Her sister works in my kitchen. She has people who love her, who depend on her. Just like you claim to. The difference is, she never laid a hand on anyone. She was just trying to go home after an overtime shift. Take them away. I shrank back into the darkness before I could be seen, tucking myself into the corner. My pulse was so loud. I thought they would hear it. Footsteps approached. Marcus and his men walked past with their prisoners, heading for the back exit. Jack was crying. Quiet. Desperate. Sobs. The sound made my stomach turn. The study door closed. I waited until the footsteps were completely gone before I climbed back upstairs. My legs were shaking so badly. I had to grip the railing to stay upright. Back in the guest room, I sat on the edge of the bed, hands trembling. I had just watched Victor Landor sentence 2 men to death. Calmly, efficiently, with less emotion than I used to order coffee. And the worst part, the part that should have terrified me, left me feeling hollow. I couldn't feel sorry for them. They had beaten me, left me in an alley. And now they were paying the price. I should have felt guilt, fear, or moral disgust. But I only felt a cold relief. Hours passed. I watched the black SUVs pull away from the building, headlights cutting through the pre-dawn dark, carrying men with guns and bound prisoners to whatever fate Victor had arranged for them. As the sky began to lighten, there was a soft knock on my door. I pulled on the silk robe and opened it. Victor stood there, holding 2 cups of coffee. He looked tired. It was the first time I'd seen a crack in his perfect facade. Did I wake you? He asked. I wasn't sleeping. He nodded, not surprised. Handed me one of the cups. I took it. Our fingers brushed. The coffee was perfect, with milk and sugar. Exactly how I liked it. Of course he knew. He knew everything. May I? He asked. I stepped back. Let him in. He went to the chair by the window. And Saturday? I sat on the edge of the bed. What happened to them? I had to ask. Victor studied me over the rim of his cup. His dark eyes assessing. They paid for their mistake. That's not an answer. It's the only answer you need. His voice was gentle but firm. You don't want the details, Alia. Trust me. How do you know what I want? Because I've seen the look on your face right now. The one trying to figure out if you should feel guilty for not feeling guilty. He set his cup down. Don't. Those men made a choice. They live by violence. They know the risks. I drank my coffee, letting the warmth chase the chill from my bones. I should be afraid of you. Maybe. But I'm not. I know. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. In this moment, he looked less like a mafia boss and more like a man carrying a heavy weight. How do you feel? Honestly, my ribs hurt. My face hurts. Everything hurts. I touched my swollen eye. But I feel safer than I did on Thursday night. A flicker of satisfaction crossed his face, gone as quickly as it came. Good. That's the point. He stood, walked over to me. Let me see. I tilted my face up. His fingers grazed my jaw, turning my face to the morning light. His touch was careful, clinical. But there was something else underneath it that made my skin tingle. The swelling is down, he said. But you need a proper exam. Dr. Chen is expecting us at 9. I can't afford. I'm not asking about your finances. His thumb swiped, unexpectedly gentle, across the bruise on my cheek. This happened because of me. Because you work in my house, on my streets. That makes it my responsibility. That's not how responsibility works. In my world, it is. He pulled his hand back. I immediately missed the warmth. Get dressed. Something comfortable. We leave in an hour. He walked to the door, then stopped, looked back at me, his expression unreadable. Believe it or not, he said softly. You're not just a maid to me. You never were. And then he was gone, leaving me with his echoing words and the cooling coffee in my hands. Outside, the sky was bright. The city was waking up. Somewhere, the two men who hurt me were facing consequences I didn't dare imagine. And I was sitting in this apartment that should have been a cage, feeling sheltered, drinking the coffee he had made for me. A man who could order death. In a whisper, the world had shifted again. And as I sat there, in a borrowed silk robe, watching the sunrise, I realized I was shifting with it. Victor insisted we leave within the hour. I didn't have the energy to argue. Shasha helped me change into jeans and a soft sweater she brought for me. She was careful to avoid my injuries. We both wordlessly avoided the topic of last night. We both knew what had happened. We just didn't want to say it. The SUV downstairs was black. Windows tinted so dark you couldn't see in. Victor pulled open the back door. I climbed in. wincing as my ribs protested. He slid in beside me. Not in the front. Right next to me. Close enough to smell the cedar and cologne. You didn't have to come, I said as the door shut. Marcus could have driven me. I'm coming. He pulled the car into traffic. Dr. Chen's office was in a nondescript building. No sign. Victor led me through a private entrance. Dr. Chen was in his 60s. Grey hair. He calmly examined my face and eye. No fractures, he noted on a tablet. Soft tissue damage. It will heal. Ribs. He pointed to the exam table. Shirt off. I hesitated. Victor was standing against the far wall, watching. Dr. Chen noticed. Mr. Landor. Perhaps. I'm staying. Victor's tone brooked no argument. But he turned to face the window, giving me a sliver of privacy. I pulled off the sweater. The bruising was a terrifying shade of blue-purple. Dr. Chen hissed. My goodness. Then he began to press. When he touched the sixth rib, I couldn't help the sharp intake of breath. That's broken. Likely. The X-ray confirmed it. A clean break in the sixth rib. No surgery needed, Dr. Chen said. But it would take time. 6 weeks. Minimum. He wrapped me in a compression bandage. Gave me painkillers and anti-inflammatories. No heavy lifting. He said. She needs to rest. She will. Victor took the prescription. While I dressed, they settled the bill in low voices. When I came out, Victor was pocketing his wallet. Dr. Chen handed me a bag full of medication. In the car, I stared at the bag. How much did that cost? None of your business, Alia. He turned to me. If your sister had been hurt like this, on my territory, would you want her worrying about the bill? That's different. How? I opened my mouth and had no answer. You notice? I asked softly. I notice, Alia. The ride back was silent. But it wasn't awkward anymore. It was charged with some unspoken tension. Victor ordered me to rest for the weekend. No work. Shasha brought me soup. Mother henning me. But what surprised me was Victor. He kept appearing at odd times. He'd bring food, check if I'd taken my medicine, adjust my pillows. When I winced, every interaction was careful. But underneath the restraint, I felt something else. On Sunday night, I was on the terrace, the one I'd cleaned dozens of times, wrapped in a blanket, watching the sunset. Victor came out with 2 mugs of tea. How are you feeling? He lit a cigar. Sore. But better. Good. He blew out a ring of smoke. Dr. Chen says, you'll heal completely. No permanent damage. We sat in silence. Lie? I asked the question that had been hovering. The debt. I told him about my mother's cancer. How the $300,000 haunted me. He listened quietly, without interrupting. You should rest. He stood tucked the blanket around me. His fingers brushed my neck by accident. Tomorrow, we'll talk about a long-term arrangement. Arrangement? You can't walk home alone at night anymore. The next week fell into a new, incomprehensible normal. Victor would appear while I was working, ask how I felt, bring me coffee, the kind I liked. The other staff noticed. I heard the whispers, but I pretended everything was normal. Marcus found me on Tuesday. He's different with you. He leaned against the doorframe. I've known him 12 years. I've never seen him this invested in the details of someone's life. What is it? It's not strategy, Alia. It's something else. Be careful. This could get complicated. He left, leaving my heart pounding. On Thursday, a week after the attack, Victor had me organizing new books. In his study, I was sorting poetry by author. When he came in, working late, his voice was close. Finishing what you asked. You're sorting them by chronology. I thought it would be interesting to see the evolution of their style. Most people would just alphabetize. I'm not most people. No. His gaze locked on mine. You're not. The silence stretched, full of electricity, full of the distance that was shrinking between us. I can't stop thinking about you, he finally said. His voice was rough. Not since that night. Not since I saw what they did to you. Not since I realized you'd been here for 8 months. And I'd never really seen you. My throat was dry. Victor. Tell me. You feel nothing. Tell me. I'm imagining this. And I'll walk away. I should have lied. Protected us both. Instead, I whispered. I can't stop thinking about you either. He crossed the distance. In one step. His hands came up to cup my face, gently. His thumbs tracing the faded bruises. I'm not a good man, Alia. I've done terrible things. Maybe I don't want a good one. The kiss just happened. Soft. Tentative. His lips brushing mine. When I didn't pull away, but instead grabbed his shirt. The kiss deepened. His other hand went to my waist. Careful of my injured ribs. I tasted coffee and danger. Heat flooded me. This was Victor Landor. Killer. Criminal. And I was kissing him. In his study. His phone vibrated violently. We broke apart, both breathing hard. He looked at the screen. Cursed softly. In Italian. I have to go. Marcus needs me. But we are not done talking. No, I agreed. We're not. He kissed me again. Short. Fierce. And was gone. I stood there. Fingers pressed to my lips. Shasha was waiting. In the guest room. She took one look at my face. And knew. You kissed him. He kissed me. We've kissed each other. Oh my God. Alia. This is insane. I know. Do you think it's okay? I only care if he's going to hurt you. I won't. A few days later, Victor took me to a restaurant to meet the butcher. It was a negotiation disguised as dinner. Victor coldly refused compensation. He drew his line. The butcher's threatening gaze landed on me. Victor's hand was tight on the small of my back. He was letting the butcher see I wasn't just staff. In the car, I was shaking. That was terrifying. It was necessary. Victor took my hand. He had to understand. What you mean to me? What do I mean to you? He looked at me. His gaze raw and vulnerable. You mean everything I shouldn't want and can't give up. He wanted me to move into the penthouse for full protection. I refused. I'm not your property, Victor. I won't live in your golden cage. Our fight was intense, but short. We compromised. I kept my apartment, but accepted nightly security and a private driver. I need you to understand, I said. I'm choosing you. But I need it to be my choice. I understand. He held me. I'm not used to caring this much. That night, I stayed in his room. He carefully helped me undress, gently avoiding my bandages. He kissed the places where the bruises had been. Does it still hurt? Sometimes. Then we'll be careful. Our bodies explored each other slowly. It wasn't about passion. It was about connection. About choice. After I lay in his arms, listening to his heart, I felt safe. For the first time in forever. I wasn't joking, he whispered into my hair. I would burn this city down to keep you safe. I know. It both terrifies me and makes me feel protected. 6 weeks later, my body was healed. Dr. Chen removed the bandages in early December. Good as new. Victor took me to a French restaurant to celebrate. After dinner, he handed me an envelope, an employment contract, personal assistant to Victor Landor. The salary was astronomical. You earned it, he said. You've been handling my schedule anyway. Your first paycheck has a signing bonus. He said it casually. It should be enough to handle those financial problems. The $300,000. He was talking about the debt. My throat closed. You can't. I wasn't asking. It's a Christmas bonus. I should have protested. But something in my chest cracked. It was relief. I cried. Thank you. Don't thank me. Just keep being you. A few days later, I found the bonus had paid all of my debt. $300,000. Wiped clean. I cried in Shasha's arms for 20 minutes. He paid your debt, Shasha said. A mafia boss paid your mother's cancer bills. I know. It's so romantic. It's also insane. I know that too. Our relationship settled. I kept My apartment with Shah. And I kept my space at Victor's. I chose him. He gave me his vulnerability. Marcus told me the butcher was dead. Internal power struggle. We should expand. Take Queens, he said to Victor. I looked at Victor. He was calculating. But he glanced at me. No, he said. We don't expand. Holding what we can protect is more important than grasping for what we could lose. Later, he pulled me aside. That was because of you. You made me realize I could have a different choice. Choose a life, not endless expansion. Are you happy? Shah asked me. We were eating takeout. Just like old times. Yes, I said. I'm happy. And I'm safe. I know it's crazy. But I feel seen. For the first time ever. A few days later, Victor woke me. Before dawn, he took me to the terrace. Look. He pointed at the waking city. This was my empire. My responsibility. My burden. Until you showed up. In that uniform. Covered in bruises. And suddenly, the city was different. How? It became worth protecting. Not for the territory, but because you live in it. The sun rose, casting golden light over us. I touched my side, where the rib had broken. It was whole now. Do you regret it? Victor asked. How this all started. The violence. I thought about the rain and the fear. And I thought about the kiss in his study and the protection he offered. No, I said. I don't. That attack. It brought me to you. That violence made you see me. All the terrible things led right here. That's a dangerous way to think. Maybe. But it's true. We are built on danger, Victor. But we are sustained by choice. We choose each other. Every day. He cupped my face and kissed the spot over my healed rib. A promise etched in flesh. I love you, he said against my skin. I love you, Alia. I love you too, I answered. Complicated, dangerous. And all. The city woke up. Below us. Loud. And beautiful. My world had been shattered by violence. And now it was being pieced back together by something much stronger. Victor's arms were around me. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was alive.